Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Jared Albritton, and welcome to the Big Tech Energy Podcast. So I've been in the tech space for 17 plus years, and every day I would look around the room and say, I wish there were more Black people in this room. I wish more Black people knew about tech, and I wish more Black people saw incredible success in tech the way myself and my colleagues have been able to have. So over the last couple of years, we've been doing spaces, and we've helped over 200 people break into tech. And now with this podcast, I'm going to be highlighting some of my favorite startup founders, high-paid tech employees, recruiters, career coaches, and hiring managers on what steps should you take to be successful, but what is the mindset that has made them incredibly impactful. So take your notes, stay tuned, and soak up this big tech energy.
You know, we both were in tech at the time when we started off our, journey of helping people get into tech. And now she's booked and busy, 4 states this week. You know, she's got programs, she's famous. And I'm excited to have her on the podcast because what she's famous for is getting people not only jobs, but getting people that bag. She is the salary negotiation queen. She is the person that'll get you up leveled in terms of your salary from one job to the next. And she's going to give you some of these gems today, and she's going to let you know how you can get in touch with her in the future. So with that being said, I'm going to pass the mic to Tiara so she can introduce herself, and then we're going to jump into it.
All right, so thank you so much, Jared, for that introduction. And hi, everyone. My name is Tiara Swain. I'm the owner of Swain Solution Services. So just like Jared, I was also in tech, and I was in tech sales. So at LinkedIn, I managed 140 staffing firms. And that's where I really learned, what are recruiters looking for in a resume? How should their LinkedIn profile be set up? So that's where I'm at today. I'm going full time as a career consultant, and I love it. And like Jared mentioned, so right now I'm at 1.7 million salary increases for all of my clients, and I'm going to continue that. Like I'm trying to get to 3 million by the end of this year for sure. So
Yeah, ain't no try. It's a guarantee with you. You hustle and you care, but more importantly, you're effective. You know what you're talking about.
yeah,
I'm excited that you're going to be sharing these gems with the audience today. And
yeah.
before we get into like the strategies of, how to break in, et cetera, talk about your non-technical tech career and how you got started into it, and just kind of give us a little background on that, because I don't even think I've ever asked you that. Beyond, I knew you were at
Oh,
LinkedIn, but I didn't
yeah,
know how you
totally
got
right.
in.
Yeah, so that's actually interesting that you asked that because a lot of people don't know. So, how I landed my job at LinkedIn was that a LinkedIn recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn about my LinkedIn profile. So she loved how I had it set up, and I also had a combined experience working at PepsiCo in terms of their sales side, as well as me working at a staffing firm. So that's how I landed my tech sales role for me to work with staffing firms because I used to work at one, so I knew it like the back of like my hand and stuff. So it's cool. It's
Awesome.
cool. Yeah.
And for those that are like, tech sales, what is that? Should I get into it? Like, you already
Yeah.
know, like, I love tech sales. It was amazing for me, but like, why tech sales? Why should people actually look into that if they have sales background or just an interest in business and getting
Yeah.
money?
I mean, yeah. So like if you're interested in getting into a customer facing role, what you need to collect is called SaaS. So SaaS stands for software as a service, and you have corporations like Fuel Sales Academy, Aspireship, where you can gain credible certificates so you can acquire those skills. But yeah, I think anyone, I mean, honestly, I'm always going to be a promoter for tech sales because there's a lot of money in that. Like it's interesting. So when I was working at LinkedIn, they actually gave me a cap, but I found out that wasn't true because of the type of contracts that I did. So I was able to go like basically over it. And I didn't think that at all. So no. Like, yeah, you might just see in terms of that current salary, but really the sky's the limit if you put that work in. But if you like, resolving customer issues, if you also are like a genuine people person, like you will definitely rock out in sales. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, that sucks that they, try to implement a cap. Every sales job, SaaS sales, as you mentioned, software as a service, that's where it's at because it's easier to implement, so it's easier to convert. But every job I had uncapped commission. So, averaging like $250,000, $500,000 a year, but a lot of my colleagues were doing 7-figure W-2s. So, yeah, I mean, in terms of the upside of you really get a great base after, 5, 10 years of experience, you can get to that 6-figure base. But yeah, if you close a really big deal and overachieve quota by a lot, it could be
Yeah.
some serious money. Yeah.
And you know what though, Jared? They can also look into being like what is called a customer success manager. Basically, that's a like it's an account manager role without a sales quota. So typically, they would already have the six-figure basis. Sometimes, not all the time, but like if you're a senior CSM, you were definitely looking between like 100 to 140 base. That is for sure.
Yeah, like you mentioned, not as much pressure on the quota, but you do have to be responsible for customers renewing. And then if you can figure out opportunities for growth to pass to the sales guys or the sales women, then you can be bonused on that. But I think customer success is a great role for somebody that's not technical but has people skills, project management skills, knows how to quarterback things. It's a great
Yeah,
place to get
exactly.
in.
Yeah. Because the whole point of that role is that you're there to retain the customers. Happy customers buy. Okay. And that's how companies make money. It's off of existing customers and new business. So yeah, definitely spot on.
Yeah, yeah. Last thing I'll say about customer success, and then I want to talk about these gems in terms of like negotiation strategies, interviewing, resumes, LinkedIn, all the stuff that you've been killing it with. One thing about customer success that's dope too, if you have a genuine curiosity about business, so you can actually become an extension of the customers that you serve. There were situations where some customer success managers had an office at the company's building because they were,
Yeah.
critical in their, rollout strategies for marketing or sales or finance. And if you're really curious, like how does Target utilize the software and then what are their overall goals, and their goals, and then you can figure out how the software can help them get there. Not only will you be sticky, but they'll try to hire you. So yeah, customer success. Shout out to that. Account
Yeah.
managers, definitely a great role. And then when it comes to sales, just a heads up. So I talk about the money of like, yeah, you can make up to a quarter million, half a million, whatever. But one thing I do want to caveat is sales is high pressure. So you
Yeah.
have a quota. It's a big quota. You have weekly meetings where they're like, hey, where are we towards the quota? Where are you towards your forecast? So with the forecast, you have to say like, I'm going to close $250,000 this quarter. Once you say that, it gets passed up all the way to the CEO, and the CEO presents to the board. Now you're stuck with that number. You got to hit it. So there is that pressure. If you don't hit it, then, it could be bad for you. So, that's the one thing that I'll say. Like, sales is high pressure, but the high
I love
reward,
that.
though. Because I don't want to always just make it seem like super like glitzy and easy. Like, nah, it's not easy. But once you get into a groove of things and you got customers that have success, and especially if you can grow accounts, I highly recommend if you do get a tech sales job, you get one where once you sell, you can keep selling. Because yeah, once Tiara buys from me and I overachieve whatever objective I said we're gonna achieve, then she's just gonna put me in the budget, keep buying, and I'm gonna keep making her look good. She's gonna make me look good, and that's how I was able to, travel to 81 countries and like be real
Mhm.
flexible, because I knew I could just call up the head of sales of, or not the head of sales, yeah, the head of sales of like,
Yeah.
Kaplan University, and be like, all right, cool, how much you buying this month or this quarter, and they would had me. All right, cool. So let's get off of the non-tech roles, and let's talk about how you get there. All right. So
Yeah.
when it comes to job search strategies or finding the role that's the right fit for you, how do you help your
Yeah.
clients that maybe weren't in tech before figure out
Yeah.
what is the right role and then the strategy to get there?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I mean, well, one, I may ask them to take a few career quizzes because sometimes they can say, hey, what are our recommendations? And then I also ask them with their current role, what are you doing now? A lot of times it's transferable. You could definitely do tech or non-tech roles at these tech companies. It's just that the industry is different. So if I know like someone that's in customer service, I would say, okay, yeah, maybe you should look at customer success. If you're like operations, we can take a look at project management, program management, because a lot of those same skills are transferable, which are the soft skills. Now, if you are interested in getting like a technical job, I would recommend my clients look into apprenticeships. So a lot of these major companies like IBM, Google, Microsoft, LinkedIn, like a lot of them, they do offer like apprenticeships where candidates can do a role and they'll get paid at the same time. And it's honestly one of the best because you're getting hands-on experience. Unlike sometimes with the certificate, you're just getting tested from kind of like what the curriculum is. So I would definitely say that we prioritize that. And I also let them know too that it's okay for them to volunteer. Meaning if they don't have that hands-on experience, you need to find a way to get that. Okay, because when we're asking, when we're negotiating for more money, we need to prove. We have to literally have to show on paper and they have to be able to communicate that, Jared. That yeah, like what they have is definitely worthwhile. So I do that. And I also have to make sure that their resume is together. Like your resume, there are key elements where, especially for private sector, hiring managers are only taking a few seconds to review it. So what that means is you need to make sure that your resume stands out with all those relevant keywords. Whenever I do resumes, I'm making sure that only their accomplishments and their achievements are listed. That's it. I'm also quantifying the resume because when recruiters see like numeric callouts, they're going to remember that. Okay. And not a lot of times candidates even include that either. So and what's really important is that only 25% of applicants make it through like the interview stage. That's it. So that means that their resume is the main factor of why they're not being seen.
No, that's
So
100%. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
no.
yeah,
So career quizzes, that's dope. And so once you get the answers back from the career quiz, for those that maybe won't be able to partake in a career quiz,
yeah.
I guess what are some ways to learn about the different tech roles that are out there, so they can figure out, all right, what uh, works with my passion, my past experience, etc.
Yeah,
Like
no,
I have a strategy, but I want to hear yours first.
yeah, no, no, no. That is a good question. So another one that I do is so I actually like I have like a list of all roles that are possible that are technical and non-technical, and I go over like what their achievements are. So like you have like something like you. So if you're interested in cyber, we could look at network analysts, we could look at security, like things like that. So we could look into that. And then I also look into what are the most in-demand jobs right now that'll also increase their chances of being seen the fastest. So you have like in general, right? You have if you look at the industries first, you have healthcare is in demand, here to stay, e-commerce slash supply chain, of course, tech because you're gonna have AI, cyber there as well. You also have like the one with renewable energy as well. Yeah, that's like another big factor as well. And then I basically look into this like the actual roles. So the top roles are HR, marketing analyst, software engineer. I also like you also have network security, data scientist. There's actually like a lot, even like well, being a nurse practitioner, well, that's not applicable here. But unless you work at like a health tech company, I'm sure you could find a role there. But I also look into those roles too to make it what's faster. Because that's what's been helping them move along a lot quicker once they, get those skills too. So
Yeah, and I
yeah.
love that you mentioned all those industries because at the end of the day, you don't have to work at a Google or a Microsoft. There's tech roles at
Right.
these banks, these healthcare companies. Yeah.
Yeah, man. If you look at it right now, like we're in scary times right now, and I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. So that's why you want to make sure that how your resume looks, how your LinkedIn's also is presented. You need to make sure that it's going to stand out because we're already close to 80,000 layoffs. I think as of January 1st. Last year we had 156,000. So we're already going to try to outpace it. Like, do you see how scary this is? At the end of the year, it was 156,000. Now we're
Ye-
at over 80,000. So yeah,
80,000
yeah,
by mid-February. We're taping this on February 15th, so wow, that's crazy. Um,
yeah.
yeah, and just, FYI, this is my recommendation to folks. All tech roles are risky because there's ups and downs in the economy, but you're a lot more expendable at big tech companies.
Yep.
So don't sleep on startups and also look at startups that got big investments. They got that
Yeah.
money to grow. So
I mean,
Angel.co, place like that.
yeah, like Angel.co was good. So I was looking at Built In is another one, as well as Ada.com. They basically always highlight the most in demand type of startups. And also there's a website that's called like simplify.jobs where people can apply to jobs in like a couple seconds, but there's a lot of startups that are listed there too. So yeah. Yeah, it's also good when you negotiate for stock. I mean, especially when these companies go like public, like what? That's a lot of money in that. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. So we talked a little bit about job search strategy. One part that's really important is your personal brand.
Right.
When it comes to job strategy and being positioned so that even if a layoff happens, you're getting hit up by like 4 or 5 recruiters. So
Right.
LinkedIn, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Like when you get your clients, where's the first thing you start when it comes to optimizing their LinkedIn so they can get more of that demand?
Like I look at their URL first and then I look at their banner because the top of your LinkedIn profile all the way to the bottom should call out how can you add value to a company. Like if I'm a recruiter, even if I'm not even a recruiter, looking at Jared's page, if he was looking for a job, I should have a clear understanding of what he wants to do. So when you create a unique URL, it's going to make it easier for recruiters to find you. And I always also recommend making sure that your headline on LinkedIn should call out the problem you're solving. That's kind of like similar to you creating a professional tweet, right? So you want to get something. So I wrote for one of my clients, she just said HR coordinator. So a lot of times your LinkedIn header at the top, by default, it may actually just show your current role. So when you're looking for a job, you need to think about, hey, what can I do to stand out? So for hers, I changed it to HR coordinator, streamlining processes to foster diversity and inclusion by 67%. So you see that? It's short and impactful, not just listing HR coordinator. Okay. And she got a lot of hits actually from changing that. And I would also say making sure that you have the right location. Location plays a big factor. So let's say, well, I know, Jerry, you lived in like a few cities, but let's say that if you were back in New York, if you put like Jersey City, I'm going to tell you that's not a big market. New York is one of the number one locations for jobs, especially within tech as well. So it's definitely important for you to even like list that larger location because more recruiters will find you. Okay. Also saying that, and of course, leveraging the open to work section. Like open to work is an opportunity where candidates can inform recruiters that they're looking for a job. So they can highlight 5 job titles, highlight cities that they're interested in. They can also inform them that they are immediately, ready to have a conversation and that they're actively applying because that's how they're also going to get prioritized. But you're basically making the recruiter jobs easier when you turn it on. A lot of times people don't do that. A lot of times, Jared, people may only put 2 roles, or a lot of times people may put regions instead of major cities, and so that's basically a big no-no because when you put in like large like platforms, they're probably going to see millions of other candidates, so they may not even get to your profile when they're looking for you. So yeah, I mean, and honestly, Jared, there's a lot that you could talk about LinkedIn, even like leveraging the skills section. You need to have 50 skills to fully maximize it because that impacts LinkedIn's algorithm. So there's definitely a lot of components of LinkedIn. And I honestly think that every part of LinkedIn is just an opportunity for you to showcase your best self. So, I mean, of course, leveraging the feature section. So like the feature section, that's a great way. So if you receive any of these relevant, right, certifications, you've been highlighted in the news, if you received an award, have a portfolio, all of that, you can add all of those digital types of content on there and it'll always stay there. So if I know if you are in tech, let's say UX, UI, or even marketing, right? They want to see a portfolio of your work. They want to see like, what projects did you work on? How did you leverage these technical skills? Things like that. So yeah, it's definitely become super competitive. I think it's honestly worse before COVID started, Jared.
Yeah.
But that's just my take on how like this job market is right now.
Membership in Black in HR means community and being a part of a culture of like-minded individuals. You have a culture within a culture, especially in the Black community, and Black in HR is that professional culture. We have fun, we laugh and joke about things that are related to us in the workplace, but we also have serious aspects as well where we help each other grow. And it's just one of those places where I can go to any time of the day, pose a question, and I'm going to get all type of answers, but I'm going to get support.
And we all work together to give advice, to give insight, to share tips. The networking is amazing.
The people that I've spoken to have allowed me to learn things about myself that I didn't know. So what does that do? When I go to my next interview, I have that confidence when I walk in to be able to explain and speak on what I've done in the past and prove that I am the person for the job.
Yeah, to talk about it, like the job market. What's your honest outlook on it? And obviously working with people like you is going to help you navigate it and get a lot of offers. But if they don't have somebody like you, what is your kind of advice?
Yeah, well, I mean, what I would say is leveraging the job description as your source of truth, okay? Job descriptions show you what are the keywords they're looking for. Even when you're crafting your examples when you're interviewing, you should look at these like job descriptions, right? And you should call out examples of how you know how to solve their problems. You want to make sure that you're also doing research enough because I mean, I'll be honest with you too. Even like sometimes with tech, you're going to have several rounds of interviews. So what are you going to say to stand out? So you want to make sure that you already know like up to date, like what are the relevant skill sets that I need to possess. I also encourage people to have what is called an informational interview. That way you can learn, hey, like really, what is a day in a day like? Or talk to me about how is that work culture at your company? Because I wouldn't want anyone to leave a toxic environment to go to another one. So it's all about really doing your due diligence for sure. For sure, for sure, for sure. And then I would say, like, check the facts. You have a lot of fake boot camps, unfortunately, out here. Like scamming, taking our money. I would say make sure that it's accredited. And you can see that, that's definitely public information for sure.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was just saying that with another one of my guests is like boot camps can be hit or miss.
Right.
Accredited, like you mentioned, and also do they have a track record of placing people? Do they have a
Mhm.
support team that can kind of help you take your resume and get it out in front of a lot of companies? And do companies actually respect and trust these boot camps in terms of the quality of their students and how prepared they are? So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so if you look in the caption of this video when it's posted, I will definitely recommend some boot camps that I know people are getting placed and people are getting jobs, and you're going to get the skills needed to actually be competitive, interview correctly, and all that stuff. And then I would also tell you, on top of the boot camp, get with Tiara if you can. She's booked and busy.
Tiara, Tiara.
Tiara, sorry, my
Jared,
bad.
that's right. Yeah, but yeah, exactly, exactly,
TR.
exactly.
I would always correct people on Clubhouse about that.
I know, that's what I'm like to know now, but it's okay. It's fine.
Yeah, yeah, Tiara with the hard R. All right, bet, yeah, give it Tiara for sure. All right, cool. So the next thing that I wanted to get into is, all right, your resume is good, your LinkedIn's good, you figured out what companies to go after because you've done your research and you know what role you want to do because you've researched it and you understand your transferable skills. Now you start getting
Yep.
the interviews, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you tell your clients when it comes to interviewing so that they can get to the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then finally get the offer?
So like typically when you have that first interview, it's typically they want to get to know you. So that should be from someone in HR, which means they don't know all the details of the role. So you should be asking questions like, okay, like the work culture, professional development, right? Things of that nature. Typically, they should also be covering salary. I always tell them not to mention money first. You should let them do it because typically whoever does it first loses, right? It's like when you're
Mm.
negotiating a contract. That's kind of like what it is. I also recommend that you got to read each line right in the job description. Come up with those examples as well because all that is fair game for them to ask you about it. But you should also be aware of what could be common interview questions like, tell me about yourself. Why do you want to work here? Or where do you see yourself in 5 years? It's just a lot, right? What is your greatest weakness? What is your greatest strength? So a lot of times they are common. So you should always prep. For any of those behavior type of questions, you should be using the STAR format. So that stands for like situation, task, action, result. The whole point of the STAR format is for you to provide a concise answer. That's it. Keep short and sweet and to the point. They want to know what did you do to get there. So companies like Amazon want to hear it. Like, how did you impact this team, this company, or even like yourself, like whatever, like what steps did you take as a leader? So that's what you want to highlight there.
Yeah, so you went through that one real fast, so I want to actually really hone in on that one, the STAR method. So for the folks that have never heard of the STAR method, can you just kind of
Yeah.
break down the importance of each letter and like,
Yeah.
example of how
So
you would go through it?
yeah, so like S stands for situation. So you should provide a sentence or two of like what was going on, like what was the problem. Again, keep it at a high level. They don't need to know all the minute details. And if they want to know, they will ask a follow-up question. Okay. Next is stands for T is for task. That's where you're going to give out like what is the main goal or objective, right, of your role. A is action. So that's what you're going to talk about. What steps did you take, okay, to try to complete T. So that's what you want to talk about. Did you work with other teams? Did you use any tools? Whatever, things like that. R stands for results. So that's what it means. Like, what is the impact? You always want to quantify this as well because that's what they're going to remember when you're done there. Like, basically, when the interview is over. So, like a percentage, dollar figure, or like a number, like whatever. Okay. So, yeah, that's the STAR format.
No, it makes
So,
sense.
as an example, I'll give like when I was in sales, I had like a customer where he didn't want to buy anymore. He just didn't see the value in it. So my main objective was that I had to basically like win back that customer because they were a trending account, which means they don't want to buy anymore. In terms of like the A, I did like a data analysis leveraging internal tools that LinkedIn had to offer to see, hey, like what is their like, product usage, right? What's going on with this? And I found opportunities. And then I also administered a discovery call session with them, kind of really finding out what is the root cause of why you don't want to buy. So then once I resolved everything, as a result, I would up having biweekly check-ins with them so they can basically I can build a report back. And they wound up buying more than what they originally bought with. So I grew that account by like 150%. So yeah, that's like a quick overview of like the star format.
Yeah, and the way that she described, the star format, think about when you're writing your resume, especially the R part, the results.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't want to make it just strictly tasks, but I did this to increase that or to decrease cost, improve customer service ratings by just something like that. So yeah, the more numbers, the more your resume will definitely stick out when they do the quick little scans. And then
Yeah.
when they take all of the star and they're prepared. And by the way, number one for everybody listening, like expect to be rejected a lot and just
Yeah.
be ready for it and be cool with it. Every door that closes, another one opens, and then also, it might not have been the right fit. And also, you want to be picky too. You don't want to just like be desperate and take whatever job. You want to, get something that's a good fit for you. But ultimately, be ready to get a lot of no's and to get stuck at the second or third round. Not expected, but just basically be prepared emotionally for it and don't get your hopes up on any job really. But when
Right.
it comes to you finally, get the offer or you get a couple of offers and they give you, a salary and the perks, etc. How do you, train and prepare your clients, students, whatever you want to call them, to take that offer and get an even better offer?
Yeah. Well, one, you have to just really think about there are over 20 opportunities for you to negotiate. Okay. So I would say first we should look at, well, one, do you meet all the qualifications right there? Because when you do, I'm going for the top. Okay. So something that I do is I basically ask my clients in terms of like overall, right? Like what are all your perks? Because that could be an opportunity. So are they giving you enough tuition reimbursement? Are they paying for your phone? Things like that. Now, right now, unfortunately, with this market, you have a lot of companies that aren't trying to give out any sign-on bonuses.
Mm.
So there are still other ways where you can negotiate because we have a lot of companies that are getting hit financially, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? How this market is. But I would say you can still attempt to do that. You can also, I would also say you should already like understand too, like what is the market, right? So I use tools like PayScale, Salary.com for me to really understand, hey, what's credible. You should not be using Glassdoor at all. Do not use Glassdoor. Do not use Glassdoor because they don't have a verification system. So you want to
Mm.
get something that's credible, like the ones that I mentioned before, pay factors, right? Market pay, whatever. Like all those are other resources that you can look into to create an account. But yeah, I mean, I've had a client, especially with a lot of the layoffs that are happening. I actually recommended that she negotiate the severance package, and it wound up coming out in favor for her because she was let go and she was able to get more money versus her other coworkers because they didn't know that they could do it. But I'm like, no, all of this is negotiable. It's a contract. Whether it's full
Got it.
time or not, it's be a contract still. So yeah,
So yeah, that's an interesting one. I've actually, have I heard of anybody doing that? I don't think I have.
yeah, it worked for her because like with her, she joined like it was like a small fintech company. They were really small and they wound up downsizing. But I'm like, nah, it's something they could do. But I don't think they anticipated for them to have layoffs. But it worked out for her. So
So
yeah.
what was the leverage that allowed her to get more?
Well, basically, they really liked her. They really liked her,
That
and she
helps.
was in final sets with other companies, and so she basically used it to her advantage. So we were asking for the max. In all honesty, and what I would do is I would write out everything for her. So I would say, hey, like let them know that you still value, you're still interested in this company, but in order for you to say yes, they need to meet you closer to this figure, right?
Yeah.
And then she's basically basing it off of her credentials as well as what the market is. I mean, we look at Well, I typically go off of also where's the headquarters at. If it's out of New York or it's out of San Fran, that's what I'm going for. Okay. Now, sometimes location does play a factor, but for her, it didn't matter because she was working remotely. If you were working like on site or hybrid type of thing, then I would say no. That's when that location is going to definitely matter for us to consider too.
All right, man, that's some boss moves right there. So if you get laid off, go back to this podcast and get some inspiration from Tiara. Tiara.
Yeah.
Yeah. So $1.7 million in increased salary from position to position. Like
Yeah.
what is your secret sauce? How are you consistently able to do that?
Yeah. Well, like my
If you can give
secret
it out,
sauce.
because I know you know people are paying for it, but whatever you can give out.
I mean, like what I can give out is that I mean, for me though, I don't specialize just in tech. I help people get into the like federal government, help people get into local government, like marketing, like it's just all in different types of roles. Like I work from customer service, customer success, marketing, DNI, like all that, because I know it's all about how I set up the professional brand. When they look great on paper, when they're also able to celebrate, really celebrate their and like leverage their elevator pitch, it opens up doors. I'm basically unlocking access for them to be seen by the right recruiters, making all these tweaks on the resume, LinkedIn, their job search as well. Um, I mean, I'm also a big I mean, I'm sorry, I'm a big promoter of staffing firms too. Like
Hmm.
staffing firms give our clients a lot of access to what we see. We only see 20% of jobs. Like that's it. So that could be another opportunity for you. And I would say, like, don't, I mean, you should create profiles in at least 10 to 20, I would say, staffing firms. Get that many because you never know when they'll have opportunities and it's not just you applying. I mean, also some of these offers that I've gotten, they also have referrals at the companies, or I help them get referrals at some of these companies. So that's another one too. Where a great thing with referrals is they have to look at your application, but you got to make sure it stands out, right? You got to make sure it's like the cream of the crop right there. So it definitely helps. It definitely helps. And I would also say though, in general, also pay attention to red flags with companies, Jared. I don't think that gets talked about enough. Like companies give out fake job offers, like things that you want to also consider. Because I just had a client that went through this. They sent that offer via Gmail, and I said, no, if it's not a company like a corporate email, that's a red flag. If you see any grammatical errors, that's a red flag. If they're requesting money, that's a
Oh
red
hell
flag.
no.
Exactly,
Oh
no, but it
hell
happens. So,
no. Yeah. They're requesting money,
definitely,
man. Run. Run, run,
exactly,
run. Um
definitely,
s-
yeah.
so staffing firms, I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of the people don't know about staffing firms. I love staffing firms, especially when I was in sales, because they had like 3 to 4 different roles at one time, and they would
Right.
pitch me the roles. I would apply for them. They would coach me because
Yeah,
they get a nice check when I get the job, and they even were
exactly.
motivated to get a bidding war so I could get more money so that they could get a bigger percentage. Yeah, talk about staffing firms and like why they're so important for people,
Yeah,
especially in this
I
job
mean,
market.
yeah. So a great thing with staffing firms is that they already have relationships with these companies. They're there to make their jobs easier, which is to find talent for them, right? So they're basically outsourcing their in terms of like the time and energy. Now, a great thing with staffing firms is that you have some that do offer benefits. You have some that don't, but a lot of times if they don't, you will have a nice type of like one an hour in terms of like hourly wage an hour and stuff like that. Like I had a client, Jared. She was impacted by meta layoffs. She took like a data entry job, $14 an hour, and I was able to help her negotiate at a healthcare company. I was 83 an hour. So she
Damn.
had that jump. Right. Like it's definitely, I mean, it's money, but again, I mentioned before, healthcare is the number one industry right now. As well as consulting too. I forgot to mention that earlier. So like the big four, that's a very stable sector because all these companies are going to them. So yeah, but back to staffing firms, I would say you want to make sure that you're also transparent with these recruiters. Like if you only want to work remotely, don't waste your time, right? Don't interview for roles. Um, I would say you really want to be respectful, and it's also a partnership. Like the recruiters also should be aware of your skill set. So like I'm not going to send Jared a sales rep type of job where he should be like an account director type of thing, right? Or even like a director of like like whatever the role is, right? It has to be, it has to basically make sense. And I would say if you're a candidate, you need to make sure you show up on time or show up before it, right? That interview because you're making them look good. Like it's honestly, it should be 50-50 here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Make these staffing firms and these headhunters look amazing, and they will be loyal to you forever.
And I also too with staffing firms, they sometimes share inside information with you, like that you may not know, so they can tell you what questions to ask, what information to prep, because they've already gotten candidates before. So I would say, yeah, and a lot of these staffing companies have big partnerships. So like K4s, Insight Global, Robert Half, Michael Page, like all of them have big um like connections with a lot of these companies. A lot of them are in tech, but at least a lot of them are still in the Fortune 500 realm. So yeah, y'all need to get with a staffing firm for real, for sure.
No doubt. So with you, I wanted to get like really tactical because you're like a super tactical person, very strategic, resource oriented, and so you've been dropping gems. I appreciate that. But one reason I
Yeah,
call this show Big Tech Energy, besides the obvious play on words, is the
yeah,
fact that I want people to have the understanding of the mindset it takes to be Tiara
yeah.
or to be like Ruben Harris, who's on my show, and other people that are very successful. So like when it comes to your overall brand and how you handle yourself, what is the mindset that you have that you think has made you successful in this space?
Yeah, well, I mean, I can say it's my work ethic. Like I don't stop like until like this job gets done. So I'm
Absolutely.
making sure to be very analytical, I have to be very strategic with my time. Like if I give myself a set of goals, I strive, and I've been doing the same thing I did in sales. I try to complete everything by like Wednesday, so it'll leave me Thursday and Fridays to like pull out any fires and things like that. But I would say you got to always stay motivated. You got to remember your why. Like my why is that I'm helping my biological mom get off the street. So yeah, I have to. Like I have to. Well, no, I want to. That's really what it is too. Like I really want to help her, and that's what I'm also doing this for. And then also, the part of the reason why I went full time with my business is because I had a candid conversation with my manager at LinkedIn. I was like, hey, like this feels bittersweet. I'm making the most amount of money I've ever in my life. Like I have cousins that are Dodgers. I'm making around like the same money that they're making. I'm like, whoa, like this is pretty dope. Like, yo, this is so dope. But it felt bittersweet because I wanted someone else. I want my people, like I want people of color to make it too. And my manager told me, he was like, hey, well, who really has like the power? HR and then hiring managers that are these managers, supervisors, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I need to change that. So that's another reason too. And so what motivates me is like when my clients share like a win, I'm like, yeah, I got to keep pressing forward. I got to keep doing this because I want to just make sure I take care of my clients. Like I want to see everyone win. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
No, I love that. And that's why me and you connected so hard
yeah,
during the
exactly.
pandemic because we have that same energy, which is basically we want to see people win. We want to empower people. We want people to understand where the resources are and we want to see
And
more black people. Go ahead.
I was gonna say like joining tech is like it'll be life changing for them too. Like I would
Exactly.
say, like, make sure you guys are saving your money, creating like a rainy day account, investing. Like there's just a lot of money. Like it's a whole lifestyle change. I would say, especially once I joined tech. So
Nah,
I was
100.
making double. I made double the amount I was making in my previous job back in Maryland. So yeah,
Yeah, and one thing that like I want to the listeners to really hone in on, there's a huge wave of tech influencers that are bragging about how little they work,
no,
and all that stuff. But everybody I bring onto the show, they're gonna say the same thing. Like, what makes them successful? Work ethic. Not only work ethic, but their why really motivating them beyond the money.
yeah.
So I'm glad you said that. And yeah, what do you think about all these tech influencers? I think they may be part of the wave of layoffs in the sense of like, all right, we got too many people.
Like I just think that you have sometimes like people on TikTok that are saying, "Oh, I got this tech job in like 2 months, making 100." Like, I mean, I'm finding out that they're lying. No, that's not happening. I don't think that. I mean, yes, making 6 figures is great, but still making 80 or 90K is still a lot of money too. I think
Yeah,
that we should, I think, like just really think about what are really our main priorities here. Because when I am also for my clients, y'all should be looking at jobs that's going to put you in place for your next role afterwards. Which one's going to give you the right skill set? Like a lot of times, our community, they're failing these technical assessments because they don't know the right foundations.
yeah,
And so, like
yep,
they said, it happens a lot. It happens more than you think. That's what I would say. So I would say, yeah, you got to put the work in. And in
yeah.
terms of
Because
these technical, it's like it's cap. Like that's what it is. I guess it's cap for sure.
It's
So
cap, man. And that's why I'm very careful about talking about my experience in tech from a
right.
place of just like sugarcoating it and making it sound all like lollipops and rainbows when I had to put in the work to be in a place where I could have that work-life balance and not be as stressed out because I built the
Right.
relationships, I built the trust. And one thing I would offer to everybody, and I'll probably say this in all my podcasts, hopefully I don't, but it's just something I really just like live and breathe is under promise, over deliver. That doesn't
Always.
mean like, give lackluster commitments, but if you're going to commit, not only know that you're going to hit it, but know that you're going to probably exceed it. And everybody within your tech career, your management, your customers, your teammates, whoever, they're going to remember you as that person that they can depend on, and they're going to want to refer you into their companies and get those referral bonuses. So real quick, that was a big part of our strategy on social audio was like,
Yeah.
all right, so and so has a role at Google, so they would
Yeah.
go to their thing and be like, hey, I get 2K for this role, 3K for this role, 4K for this role. Is that still happening in this economy? Because I haven't really been, doing that
No,
as
it is, but
much.
I mean, you have a lot of companies that are having hiring freezes, so they can't do the referrals yet. Like they
Yeah,
can't. But I would say, I mean, some still are though. Like with the big four and in healthcare, they can still
they're
like
still
have the
doing that.
opportunity.
Got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because that's it.
But
Like, go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. No, I was
No,
gonna say, but you need to make sure that your job, like you got to make sure the resume is tailored to that job before you apply still, because I
no.
mean, referral doesn't, it's not guaranteed. Basically, that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah, especially with this economy, for sure, because you got all these people that are flooding the job market now. You're competing against more people.
right.
We got like 2-3 minutes left, but actually, I really want you to talk about this hack because I thought, and I always use this as if it's my own, but I'm definitely gonna give you credit for this one. How can people figure out? I know the answer, but I'm gonna ask you: How do people apply to roles with less competition via LinkedIn? What are some
Yeah. Oh
approaches
my
that they can
God.
use?
It's three ways what you can do. First, you can leverage recently posted. So you need to get into the habit of that. Like typically, especially for in-demand jobs, the best time for you to apply is within 72 hours. Like that's it of the posting date. Now, on LinkedIn, what makes it really unique is that there's a filter that's called under 10 applicants. So this is a great way, and I would say definitely couple that with recently posted, so like past 24 hours with that, that's going to help you maximize your chances of getting to that next stage for sure. No other job boards have that there. Under 10 applicants. If you guys think about it, in one day there could be 300 applicants. Okay, like in 2 hours that can actually happen depending on the company. So you also want to create what is called a search alert. So that way you'll be alerted as soon as like that job gets posted. So you could literally create a job alert on LinkedIn that says and it's 10 applicants past 24 hours and what job title. So that way, as soon as it's posted, you'll be notified and you can get, basically apply first to it. So yeah, I would say please leverage that. Not everyone does. And how you find it is in the all filter section on LinkedIn. It's towards the middle.
Yeah, I had to squeeze that one in because that's a gem right
Yeah,
there, especially in this
yeah,
economy and this like situation that
yeah.
we're in right now. That was a huge gem. So like me and you could probably talk for another 3 hours. That's what we used to do back in the day during the pandemic. So we definitely got to do a part two where you come into the studio physically when you're not doing like 4 states in a week.
I know.
So
Yeah, this gonna be a lot. It's a lot of traveling this year for me, but I'm looking forward to it for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. Next time you're in Miami, Fort Lauderdale area for some other speaking engagement or something else,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I'll
pull
be
up on me.
Miami. Yeah, I'll be in Miami this year. So yeah, I got you.
All right, cool. So before we go, I want to make sure that everybody knows how to connect with you on social media. Let people know about the website and everything you got going on, please.
I will. So thank you again for this opportunity, Jay. You are the best. So how you all can get in contact with me is my email address is Tiara, so TIARA at Solutions by Swain. My website is called solutionsbyswain.com. And what's really dope is that I've actually launched a workbook series that's called Your Brand, Your Dream. I'm charging $9.20 for my sorority, but I'm also charging it to make it affordable because I want to make sure everyone gets access to this information. So it's literally going to have the same strategies, and my clients who I'm working with one-on-one have it as well. And also, you can find me on Instagram. It's underscore Swain Solutions. And please connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Tiara Swain, MBA. It'll say that I'm living in Dallas, Texas now. So you'll definitely see me on there. But yeah, but if you guys are ever interested in getting resume, like opportunities for for services, I do resume, LinkedIn, job search, interview prep, salary negotiations, and creating portfolios. So I just want to say thank you so much for your time, Jared.
Absolutely. And I always ask you this: how many people have you helped break into tech to date so far?
Yeah, so I'm at in tech specifically, I'm
Or
at
just
one.
or say tech and then all industries. Give me both.
Yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. So all industries, I'm at 167, and then within tech, I am at 93 and a half. He waiting on an offer. I'm waiting on an offer, but
94 coming soon.
right, preferably you guys this week, or if not, definitely next week. Definitely next week. It's just we're waiting on an offer. He's waiting to be a Salesforce admin, so let's see what happens. But yeah, I definitely I love supporting you, Jared. I just really appreciate you. So thank you.
Hey, feeling is mutual. And I just want to thank all the people that have watched this show or listened to it on whatever platform you're listening to it. I'd love for you to connect with me on Instagram. It's Dr. J, DOCTAJ. You can also check me out on Twitter. I post a lot of resources, boot camps, certifications, things like that. Dr. NYC, DOCTA NYC. Check out my website,jalbritton.com. You put in your email, and I will send you a free ebook with a detailed explanation of my journey, plus resume and LinkedIn tips. And then if you are a Black freelancer, I would love for you to post your profile and your skills on blackhire.com. Obviously Black and then hire like HIRE.com. And if you are a hiring manager or somebody that's looking for freelancers, put it on Upwork, put it on Fiverr, but also put it on blackhire.com so that you can get more diversity into your space. My passion is to increase diversity in tech, help people that feel disempowered feel more empowered with resources, gems like the ones Tiara just gave. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast, you like it, you share it, and you come back. Tiara is one of many people that I know like her that are super plugged in, and our goal is to help. So look forward to you tuning in again, and look forward to seeing you on my Instagram, my Twitter, and my LinkedIn. Just search my name and you'll find me. All right, y'all. Have a great day. Peace.
Membership in Black in HR means community and being a part of a culture of like-minded individuals. You have a culture within a culture, especially in the Black community, and Black in HR is that professional culture. We have fun, we laugh and joke about things that are related to us in the workplace, but we also have serious aspects as well where we help each other grow. And it's just one of those places where I can go to any time of the day, pose a question, and I'm gonna get all type of answers, but I'm gonna get support.
And we all work together to give advice, to give insight, to share tips. The networking is amazing.
The people that I've spoken to have allowed me to learn things about myself that I didn't know. So what does that do? When I go to my next interview, I have that confidence when I walk in to be able to explain and speak on what I've done in the past and prove that I am the person for the job.